surface board.
Oh,
But so limited, and I have to work on the 315 session.
Let's look here. It looks like everything is happening. He says confidently. We've both all been around this sort of thing enough to know that we don't ever say it with 100% confidence.
oh, of course, of course.
Oh, it's all working perfectly.
Yeah, it's kind of like, you know, in the hospital or the ER, and say, oh, it's kind of quiet. I will smack you.
To police or firefighters or whatever, I always sit and say, I wish you.
May you be bored at work.
That's what I tell my mom. She says,
Let me tell you what happened last night in the ER. Going, well, Mom, at least it's not boring.
Mom, before you start that, is it going to be tragic? Because I don't know if I'm ready for tragic.
Bless her heart. Yeah, she'll call sometimes, and it will be those kind of tragic stories, and she just needs somebody to listen to her.
I've also found a lot of times, there's like emergency personnel and people like that. Well, they will say something that's incredibly tragic, but they've gotten incredibly casual to it. So they don't even think, maybe I should warn you before I tell you this awful story about these
Yeah,
children that are their
Yeah.
lives changed that night.
Yeah,
And
how
it's
about what is that?
A content warning, a trigger warning.
Trigger, that's it, that's it.
This session is 5:01. So wow.
You can get scanned in, because you're,
no, not for this one.
oh, that's right. Duh.
That's fine. I got so much college credit.
I know. Yeah, I'm not worried about videology.
When I went to, I was getting my degree. Never worried about PD because, you know, I was like, all right, I'm just going to print off the transcripts for the last couple of semesters, send them on in, be done with it. And so then when I'm done with my degree and all of a sudden it's coming up and I'm like, wait, what do you mean I don't have the hours? Because I was either presenting and
Right.
not getting credit, and now I just wasn't used to getting credit.
Our system gives us so much PD and they put it in our school.
Yeah,
or
there's some
whatever
that
thing
they
is.
put in.
If you wind
on
up
that.
at the end of your 5 years and you don't have enough PD hours to renew your certificate,
Before we get started, I'm going to do something so they don't hear it on the feed. That could be misinterpreted.
I'm thinking, I was like, who's opening
Now,
a nice beverage this morning?
let me tell you, I got these at Publix and they were cheap and I was just trying, and they're okay. I mean, they're a caramel espresso with MCT, the whatever,
Keto stuff,
keto
right,
stuff in it. But it has 180 milligrams of caffeine. That's like 3.5 cups of coffee. And let me tell you, a little can special.
Mm-hmm. They're at Publix, you said?
Yes, and they are 2 for 1.
2 for 1?
Yes. Just a heads up.
Okay.
I'm seeing your camera in the presentation, so if you don't want to be picture in picture, you can mute your camera.
Yeah, I was gonna do
You can do picture in picture.
picture in picture just to
Right,
introduce.
and that's
then,
fine as well. I just want to let you know when the stream goes live at 5 minutes, that your camera's feeding into the room, everybody's seeing. Just, I like to give people a heads up if they're being heard or seen,
Right, gotcha, thank you.
because that way, you know, it's not like scratching my ear.
Yeah.
and making that face, I can't.
Last week I did a Zoom conference with Southeast Regional and Service Center. I did it last year, but the last year it was like talking to myself for 6 hours,
I was in there. I talked.
a little bit. This year.
But you
she-
talked to her anyway.
This year she wasn't in there, and it was literally just talking to myself. Like, y'all want to pay, keep paying $400 to talk to myself for 6 hours after the session.
I'll tell you what, I'm just gonna set up a AI avatar to move new ways to a recorded version of this and be done with it.
There we go.
There were people, 43 people signed up for it. It was supposed to be capped at 40, and then nobody else could get into it. And they were emailing me, calling. Session went on 17, showed up.
We should have fixed that at their level. Yeah.
But you know, sometimes, all right, I think one of the lessons we're learning from this time is that how bored we get in Sage and the Stage Zoom conferences. And I'm trying to get people to say, all right, pretend you're 13. Why are you giving your 13-year-olds 45-minute Zooms?
Mm-hmm.
Well, see, we built in little breakout sessions and everything, and I'm about
See,
to
those are
breakout
good.
sessions and going. Okay. There were at least 2, maybe 3 who turned it on and walked away from the computer, and then we wound up ending the session early because it was starting to storm. Yeah. So I'm like, all right, I can wrap this up in the next 20 minutes. So yeah, and everybody else Zooms, closes their Zoom, and it's 3 people still in there. Are you still here? Do you have questions? Oh yeah, yeah. I'm still here. I'm still here. Well, do you have any questions? Everybody else is left.
I'm sorry, I was washing dishes. Because I know so many people are doing that. They just carry the laptop or the phone around with them, but
Yeah.
halfway listening, just enough to know if they say, all right, we're doing, oh, crap, something's happening. But they're doing the dishes, they're folding the clothes.
Last year, they told them, turn off your camera, turn off your microphone. I'm like, wait. Hey, people, honey, if you ask a question, like, to gauge understanding. Okay.
It's, I think there's gonna be lessons learned all the way around.
Oh, yeah. We've learned several of them.
Learn what's gonna need to happen is people in administration learn the lessons.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a more
Well,
difficult
our
thing.
admin would actually jump in. Because we went,
Totally virtual for 3 weeks.
yeah, in January. And they would jump into our conferences and looked at our lessons in there and saw what we were doing. So,
Yeah, they jumped into the conferences to make sure you were doing it.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
then those of us who don't teach classes, there was one day that we had a trial, totally virtual day where the teachers taught from home. If you didn't have class, you didn't come to class.
Okay.
Why do I have to drive 30 miles to prove that I'm working?
We could have got a whole lot done in the library. No teachers asking you to fix stuff. You could have relabeled a whole lot.
Please, then it's. I'm at home and I can't get this to work. How can you help me? What's it not doing? I don't know. How do you expect me to help you if you can't tell me? And it's a place for you to say, the computer kind of thing. Why have you not used this thing? No, you were gonna have to do this. You've done it before. how to use your computer.
That's the service elevator over here with that
Oh,
now.
is that what that is? We heard it yesterday and all.
That it's one of those giant elevators meant to bring in huge set pieces and stage
Right.
pieces and things like that. And it's got two gates. And somehow that does not illustrate how loud it actually is when you're standing in that elevator and
wow.
closing it to move stuff up. It's apocalyptically loud. It is. I done wrong loud.
We were wondering if somebody kept opening the fire exit door.
Well, now, there's been a couple of AETCs where fire alarms have been set off, and one, I can't remember, I think one, it was Kristen Dillard's fault, and one, it was Keith George's fault.
I will always blame Keith for everything.
So my first response was to text Kristen, did you set off the fire alarm again? She went, Keith.
And actually because of the way it's framing the Zoom, they're not getting the picture in picture. So you can turn off screen share and just do webcam when you're
Okay.
ready.
I'll just do screen share.
And we do hear you, so mute.
Is your computer muted?
What?
You're going to talk first, right?
We're about to do this. Is it today? I'm sorry. One second. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to your virtual session today. Today we have Brittney Gilmer, who will do her presentation on when you give a student a microcomputer. I will be looking at the social wall, so if you have any questions, just feel free to ask them there. So yours.
Okay. All right. Good morning, y'all. I am Brittney Gilmer. I am 9th grade, 12th grade science teacher at Pike County High School. And I'm also senior sponsor. So this year was a whole lot of learning how to get a lot of information to kids that were not sitting in my classroom. And with me, she's going to help me out, is Miss Kimberly Gallo. She is the library media specialist at Pike County High School. She has several other titles and degrees and and things like that. So, okay, I'm going to share my screen and we will get started with the presentation. And let's stop the video. Okay, all right, so here is our information, our email, our Twitter handles. Did it stop? Okay. All right, so just. Okay. We're going to pause a minute, make sure we're hearing everything. Okay. Yeah, it's, yeah, okay. There we go. All right. So a smartphone is a microcomputer. Smartphone, a tablet, something like that, that is very portable and that kids tend to have on them at all times. We know this, because we're constantly telling them to put them up. So how can we take this device that they have all the time in their hand and use it to present information to them, especially on their time frames, when they're most likely to listen to it, when they actually have time and they're not in our classrooms for whatever reason. So what is a micro lesson? It is very short. It's anywhere from 1 to 15 minutes, with 8 minutes being about the average. So you want to keep it short because when you're presenting it in this format, you want it to be something that they're actually going to look at and read and get information from. You also want it to be very targeted. It's a single purpose. You want a single concept. You're not trying to teach them everything about cell biology. Sorry, I'm a science teacher. You want to focus on one aspect of that. So you're taking that one single concept and you don't want to overload. You want it to be, what do you need them to know? Because we want them to know everything, but what do you absolutely need them to know for this concept? And it can be easily repeatable. So if you do it once and you got it saved, you can do it with every class. You can do it this term, second term. You can do it this year, next year. So this is a nice graphic. Mr. Scott Petrie did a very similar presentation for a conference that he did. And he said, hey, here's my work, use it, share it. So he got this information and the link to that is up there where the information came from. So if you see this, if we just tell them to memorize it for the test, which we know that they do, right? So they memorize it for the test and within 60 days, they have forgotten it. So, you know, in 3 or 4 weeks down the road, when we say, hey, you remember this that we talked about 2 weeks ago, and now it's connected to this that we're talking about today, they're going to go, you didn't tell me that, right? So if you remind them and remind them and remind them and remind them, they're going to remember 100% of the information. So after 10 days of basic spaced repetition, they will remember 90% of the given information, which is our ultimate goal in education. We want them to remember what we're telling them. So we've got to do it more than once. How do I create a micro lesson? So you're going to take these big lessons and you're going to break it down into very small bite-sized chunks or concepts. Like we talked about earlier, make it engaging. Add a video link in there. Add a GIF, whichever one you say. Add links, okay? Make it relevant to what they're doing. And sometimes a video can explain it better than a reading can. And you're going to reach both sets of learners across the board. Keep it short. Remember, we want about, on average, an 8-minute lesson. So maybe today's lesson has to be a little bit longer. So maybe tomorrow's lesson might want to be shorter. And when you're writing the lessons up, don't use that text language. We want to make sure that the kids are actually reading information on grade level or above grade level, and that they're reading real words and not text language. They use text language enough. All right, so Arist is a company that is has worked this out to very easily present these text message lessons, micro lessons to people. Now, you can also use Remind, Blooms, Band, WhatsApp, any other kind of text messaging services that you're used to, but I'm going to show you Arist. Now, Arist does cost money, so I'll go ahead up front and tell you that. Now, during the pandemic, they were offering free to educators. So if this is the way you want to go with the free access, you get 10 learners are free and then $3 per enrollment, but you get all this, you get all these things right here. You can create unlimited courses. You can charge for your courses if you wanted to. You can put images, GIFs, emojis, all this stuff. And they're actually going to send out the information to the kids, to your students, when the students ask for that to come out. All right, so I'm going to play this demo for y'all to see what Arist is about. Hopefully it will play in here. Do we have sound? It's not muted. Maybe I need to mute myself. Okay. All right. Sorry, guys.
There should be a thing where it says share sound on the bottom.
Okay. Share sound.
It should play the video.
Okay, let's try this.
Hi, welcome to Arist. This is Arist's very own classroom. If you use Arist to deliver text message courses to your learners, you'll have your own classroom with your logo up here and your own courses listed on your homepage here. If you haven't taken a text message course already, I highly recommend enrolling in one.
All right, let's.
Hi, welcome to Arist. This is Arist's very own classroom. If you use Arist to deliver text message courses to your learners, you'll have your own classroom with your logo up here and your own courses listed on your homepage here. If you haven't taken a text message course already, I highly recommend enrolling in one to get a good idea of what the learning experience is like. The sign-up process is pretty simple. The learner chooses the course they'd like to enroll in, let's say prep for the polls, either puts their phone number directly in if that's an option that you allow, and starts the course, or they sign in with their account and choose a method they'd like to receive the course over, either SMS or WhatsApp. For international users, we do recommend WhatsApp. In the US, we recommend SMS. Once they choose a method they'd like to receive their course over, they choose the time they'd like to receive their message every day. Once they do that, they start and close the course, and they'll get their activation message right away, and their first lesson on the time they chose. Now, let's jump into the platform that you can learn how to create and manage your text message courses using Arist. First, I'll show you the course builder. This is where you can draft and upload your course, and you can set a description for the course. You put the name, the author, and a logo. And then you can also include an activation message, which the learner gets immediately when they sign up for a course. This helps them know what to expect for the course. Then we'll go into the content editor. You can add as many days as you'd like. We do recommend between 5 and 7 day courses for the best learning experience. Now, as you can see, each day includes an image or a GIF, and then you have the main body of the message, which is limited to 1,200 characters. The reason for that is to keep the content directly to the point and engaging for the learner, just like a text generally is. Every lesson has questions at the end of it, which get the learner to reflect and act on the content they learned. With these questions, you can set custom responses to help tailor the learning experiences to different learners. For example, this multiple choice question is asked, and then there are a few options the learner can respond with. Let's say they respond with option A, yep, then they'll get this custom response because they chose that option. And you can add multiple questions to the same day. Once you've finished creating your course, you can go back and publish it. Then you'll be able to choose how you want to enroll your users. The first option is they can enroll on the home page, like I showed you before. And if you do this, you add the course, and then you can set the price if you are charging your learners. You can allow them to enroll with just a phone number, in which case you will have anonymous users because there's no email associated with it, so you'll need to ask a question in the course to identify them if you prefer that. You can also make it accessible through only a link that you share with certain people, and you can make it accessible only to people who have a certain access code. These are all options that you can control. Another option is that you can embed the course in a landing page, a website, or a home page, like Pointer Institute did here. They have a landing page, and people can simply put their phone number in and start the course. You can also enroll your users if you already have their phone numbers by uploading an Excel or CSV file with all of the phone numbers, and then you can choose if you want them to receive the course over SMS or WhatsApp. Finally, once your users are enrolled, you'll have an overview of all of their responses and engagement over time. This is an overview of all courses together, but you can also filter directly by course. You also get to see a user list by course with their emails and the method they're receiving the course over. You'll also see responses for every course and every day. Let's say we choose this course, we choose day 4, you'll see all the responses associated with that day. Finally, you'll be able to invite as many administrators to this dashboard as you'd like and control which permissions they have. This does not cost any extra money, so you do not need to be concerned with however many people you invite to the classroom. And you can also control your pricing plan inside of this dashboard with your payment information in here. And if you have any questions, you can email support@arist.co, or you can schedule time with us at lrn.st/support.
Home button. Unmute. There we go. Okay, sorry. So that was just kind of what Arist can do. Now, Arist is free to join, so you can sign up, which is what I did. I got an ARIST account, and I actually signed up for a couple of the courses that were free, so that I could see what it was like on, what it would be like on the student end. If that is something that you want to look at, contact them. That this is not sponsored. This is just, I know that this company has it figured out on how to do it. But what I'm going to do, me personally, is use one of these other apps to do it and not have to figure out how to pay ARIS to do it.
One of the things that makes ARIS kind of attractive is when the students sign up for the session for your series of lessons, they get to choose what time they get that text message every day. And so they're not going to be able to do it with Reminder, Blooms, or any of these other services, but you can set up your own
Times,
Yeah,
schedule.
you can schedule when you want them to go out. And ARIST has a 1,200 character limit to their text. And I think some of these other ones have limits too. Because you don't want it to be just so incredibly long, but to really shorten what they're doing. And
Right. So this is actually what, like I said, Scott Petrie, this was one that he sent out for his students. He's a history teacher, so they were talking about the Cold War. So if you look here, this is the text that went out to the students. So the students read the text. At the end of the text message, there was a question that the students needed to respond to. So look right here, this is a student answer that was submitted. This was the feedback that was set up in ARIST to go out to the students. And if you look, there's actually 2 bit.ly links for them to get more information. And again, they can do it on their own time. So if you have student athletes, they could be doing this on the bus ride to a ball game, or, if it's basketball, they typically have to sit around for a while before they're playing or after they're playing, so they could do it then, things like that.
and then
Oops, go back.
with ARIS, they give you the option of the 4 different types of assessment: the short answer, the multiple choice, long answer, or poll questions. But if you were doing this in a different platform, this would be where you would put in your links to Quizzes, Kahoot. If you had a Nearpod set up, or a Flipgrid, maybe you want them to do a video response. Any of those different, Poll Everywhere, Answer Garden, all of those are different things you could put in there to have that be your free method of how they respond if you were doing this in a totally free program.
So, and then as you see here, this is what you would see in ARIST. It would give you their email address, so you know who sent the information in, their response when they send it in. So you could make this very much, what's the word? That they have to do it, and you can give them a grade. I don't know what to say. Gradable. There we go.
And they are
Accountable. There we go. So I'm going to kind of turn the program over to Ms. Gallo and let her talk about the next couple of slides.
Okay, so if you're using ARIST or really any of the other programs, and you have a limited amount of space, like ARIST was 1,200 characters, and then you want it to be short anyway, because we want them to be able to complete this entire micro lesson in around 8 to 10 minutes. So I'm going to show you 2 apps you can use to make those changes. And the first one is the Hemingway app, because if you've ever read Ernest Hemingway, he was a lot of short sentences, no adverbs, nothing. It's very simple text. And sometimes now, we have those students who getting them to write more than a sentence or 2 is like pulling teeth.
But we also have those students who can write and write and write. And then some of us, myself included, can write and write and talk and talk and talk. So with Hemingway, you go to hemingwayapp.com and just click over here. Okay. So with the Hemingway app, you would copy and paste your text or just type directly in. Okay. So copy, paste, and then you hit enter. And it gives you all these highlights. So if it's this yellow highlight, it's telling you that your sentence is too complex and you need to find a way to shorten it. The red highlight, it's very long, it's very complicated, and your reader may get lost reading it. So it suggests editing until it's not read anymore. The purple words, you need a different word. And if you put your cursor over it, it will bring up a different word and you can click it if it'll stay up there. And then it'll change it for you. Blue is adverb, so it tells you to use a forceful verb instead of using that ly adverb. And then now green is passive voice. So we need to go back and edit this sentence to get rid of that green. This one, qualifier, be bold, get rid of it. And then of course you have to take out that extra punctuation, okay? So the goal with the Hemingway editor is to get all the color removed from your writing, okay? You want it to be completely a white page. So that one is good. And then the next one is Rewordify. Now Rewordify will do the same, but it will also go ahead and reword it for you. So maybe your younger students who are just learning how to write, maybe this is what they need to see to help them learn how to change it. And then they can go to Hemingway as they get older and more experienced because they are more in control with the Hemingway app. So we can see what's highlighted here are the things that Rewordify changed. We can see our statistics, okay? So our readability, the original text analysis, and then what it changed to. If you have a free account, you can share what you've done. And then it says print and learning activities. So you can say, how do you want to print this out? You want the original text where they haven't changed it, rewordified text with highlighting, vocabulary list with definitions, without definitions, a word bank quiz, matching sheet, standard quiz, difficult quiz, close. So all of this is going to come from what you just put in there. So you might use Rewordify to make some of your own worksheets for them. And then parts of speech, we've got the same thing, but they have highlighted all of the words according to what their part of speech is. Okay, interactive. So we can take these out and say, maybe I just want to see all the nouns. Okay. Or maybe I need to see the adverbs because I need to put less of those in my writing. Okay. Advanced view. It'll click over. It's probably not what I would do with my kids. Even teaching high school, because that would probably get confusing. But the highlighted interactive view, I think this would have been great when I taught 7th and 8th grade and they still couldn't identify some of their parts of speech.
Okay, this was a very short session. Are there any questions, comments? Anything y'all would like to share? We'll give y'all a few minutes because I think real time and computer time are not exactly the same. Okay. Let me. If you come up with a question later and you want to contact myself or Ms. Gallo, I will put that back up real quick, our contact information, and feel free to email and ask a question, and we will definitely get back to you and try to our very best to answer said question.
Thank you all for attending, and thank you, Ms. Gilmer and Ms. Gallo, for presenting. Once again, this will be archived, so it's available if you want to share it with other members of the conference. And we appreciate you attending today. I'm going to press stop on the conference and thank you all.